So, in this lecture, we'll be discussing Jainism. It originated in and around 6th century BCE, somewhat close to when Charvakas originate during the reign of Mahajanapadas. But Mahajanapadas were not all over the place. There were few places which had their own system and way of working, which was called as here I've written Garna or Sanghas, more like a republic where people chose their ruler, and yeah, so that gives a bit of hint why Jainism is a bit more tolerant. So the thing is, Mahavir, who propagated this philosophy of Jainism, was born into one of those royal families in which were part of ruling Gana or Sanghas in the Bihar, Vaishali, and yeah, he had everything, and it's not like he was just a random person and out of nowhere came up with this philosophy. He grew up in a royal family with urbanization and trade continuously increasing at that time in the Ganga region, and so merchant classes were rising, and they probably didn't find some of the existing philosophies suitable for them, and they started adopting Jainism slowly, and probably that is why a lot of merchants even today are Jains, including everyone's favorite Adani ji. And here is it. Naya Kshatriya clan, socially elite and prosperous, part of ruling class in his region, and different than other types of rulers existing in and around Ganga plain, especially near Bihar. Magad region existed at the same time, part of Mahajanapadas. Iron technology took off, agriculture got more productive, surplus grains and everything, export, trade with different regions in India and even across the subcontinent. So yeah, Mahavira left his home at around 30 years of age, and although he was married and had one daughter, he renounced household life and possessions and social status, everything, and became an ascetic. This gives hint into few important and fundamental principles of Jainism as to why and how come these principles came into existence or came into thoughts of Jain teachers or scholars or shramanas. So we'll start with the epistemology part as usual. The most important part of any philosophy, and yeah, so Jainas, as I said, had less of what you call, they had Ganit Tantra, like ruling structure which was a bit more republic and a bit more democratic than other existing ones. So they were already a bit more tolerant. So their epistemology reflects this, and it was the fundamental principle uh, of their epistemology, how to know the world or how to know things, if there are some knowable things in the universe or the world or about self. The fundamental principle behind their epistemology, how to know process, was anikantvad. That is, everything reality um, has infinite aspects to know, and not everything can be known by a human, because the soul, although possesses the potential to know infinite things in all the ways possible, but due to its embodiment, it is trapped inside the body, and due to karma particles, karma pudgala, it is incapable of knowing all the things about everything, all aspects of reality, and hence its perspective in human form was limited and could only know things from particular point of view, and that did not make up the whole of the reality of any object or overall the universe. Hence it was limited, and that is what it says, that reality is anikantavad, means has multiple perspectives and multiple dimensions. Let's see it from the notes. Anikantvad, not one-sided. That is the basic breakdown of the word. Not one-sided. Reality has many aspects. Infinite qualities, infinite modes. Here is it. They give the example of elephant and 6 blind men, where everyone picks up different parts of the body of the elephant and thinks that this is what elephant is supposed to be. Like some person went near the this trunk and thought that elephant is perhaps the sharp solid thing, and while some person was on the back side and he held the leg or the ear, and they thought that this is how elephant is made up of. Because they were blind and they could not use all of their senses, they could have only limited understanding of what elephant really was. So they gave their perspective, and all those perspectives were right, but only from a certain point of view, and that is nothing but Nyavad. That is, one person can know things or certain thing only from a particular point of view at a time, at a given time, at a given space. One can only see reality or anything part of reality from only a particular viewpoint. Basically, your viewpoint is limited. So that is what Naya means, and way of seeing partial viewpoint. And when people mistake this particular viewpoint for a comprehensive reality, and that is a false Naya, a false way of seeing, and it is also called as Naya Bhash. So how do we make sense of things in daily life? Because we are humans, and that is not going to change anytime. till the time we live. So that means our soul is entrapped in this body, and hence, due to its embodiment, it can only see things in a limited way, limited perspectives. So how do we make sense of everything? So they came up with this principle of Syadvad, where they say that if you can put this Syat word uh, before saying anything or before presenting your perspective, then everyone would come to know that you are saying this or you are taking this stand only from a particular viewpoint, and in that way, that reality or that viewpoint cannot be said to be false, because you already acknowledge that it is from a particular point of view before you go on to before you go on to say whatever you want to say. You already acknowledge it that it is only from a particular point of view by using this term syat, and hence it cannot be wrong. So basically, even if you are able to see things only from a particular perspective at a time, then also there is a way to say it rightly, and so that others who listen to it or get to know about it don't mistake your opinion for the absolute reality. They will get to know that yes, you are talking only from a particular point of view. So that acknowledgement has to be done, and consequently Syat word should be used before every fact, because every fact is perceived at any given point of time, at any given point of space, then it is going to be from a particular point of view only. So yeah, Syat has to be used as a way to make it a right way of presenting your point. There are 7 ways in which Syat can be used, and these are Syat Asti, Syat Nasti, Syat Asti Cha, Nasti Cha, Syat Avyaktavya, Syat Asti Cha Avyaktavya, Syat Nasti Cha Avyaktavya, Syat Asti Cha Nasti Cha Avyaktavya. That is, it is not, it is and it is not, it is inexpressible, it is and it is inexpressible, it is not and it is inexpressible, it is not and it is inexpressible. So there are 7 ways to address about a reality from a particular point of view. You can say that this thing exists, or you can say that this thing does not exist, or you can say that this thing exists and does not exist, or it is inexpressible, and so on and so forth. So there are 7 ways to describe a viewpoint using Syat. Although there is this Nayas doctrine of standpoint is further divided into 2 major parts: Dravyarthik Nyayas and Paryayarthik Nyayas. Substance oriented Nyayas or mode oriented Nyayas. Now the thing about substance oriented Nyayas is that they are not changeable. They are more permanent than mode oriented Nyayas, and modes keep changing more frequently, and substance is rather permanent. Anyways, this is not part of the syllabus but can be useful. Like for a gold ring, we can say that a part of it is permanent and a part of it is temporary. Its shape is temporary. It can be melted and made into multiple coins or a single coin for that matter. So the shape of it, this object, is not permanent. So you can say this is not permanent. This golden ring is not permanent. But that is only true from a particular point of view. That is only true from uh, this point of view. Paryarthik Nayas, this mode which is changeable. From this point of view, it is true that its mode can change. It can change from a particular shape to a different particular shape, from ring to coin. But it can also be said that the golden ring, is permanent from, and it is true as well. If you use syat, the statement will stand true, and it is true in the sense that its substance, the dravyarthik nayas, from this point of view, from dravya point of view, it is permanent. Although from paryarthik point of view, it is changeable. That is, its shape is changeable, but its substance is not changeable. Its substance, which is gold, Au, according to modern chemistry, that is not changeable. So from one perspective changeable, from one perspective not changeable. Both are valid as long as you use syat in front of each of these statements. Both statements stand true, although they appear to be contradictory, but they won't appear contradictory if you use the term syat. For that purpose, that syadvad came. There are 7 ways to use the syat. There are 7 ways to express reality. There are 7 ways to express a point of view, and that 7 ways together constitute Saptabhangi Naya, 7 ways of seeing things. Sorry. So the good thing about this theory is that it avoids dogmatism, unlike earlier, where people would have a solid, rigid, static opinion about things. This theory came out and said that both things could be true about a particular given thing. It could be true from one particular point of view, and it can be false from one particular point of view, just like we saw in the example of gold ring. So it avoids dogmatism or fixity, accepts partial truths, promotes intellectual humility, recognizes perspectival nature of knowledge, which we know now today in the modern world. Using the blind man and elephant connection, they use this example to explain this theory. There are certain criticisms of Syadavad from other schools of philosophy. Some say that it is self-contradictory, like how can existence and non-existence both can be asserted about a certain thing? Light and darkness cannot exist together. Then second criticism is that it can lead to skepticism, that if all truths are relative, then Syadvad itself becomes relative, and we can never know the ultimate reality, and that is what skepticism is. So it leads to skepticism according to some people. We will see how do Jainas answer these allegations, but first let us go through these 5-pointed criticisms. Third point says that relativity presupposes absolute, that you say that things are relative from one perspective, and from one perspective it can be true, while from the other perspective it can be false. Well, that means there is a way, there is a perspective through which you are able to see both of these perspectives. That means there exists a universal absolute truth, but you haven't mentioned of this. This is what they're saying, that if you are saying that things are relative, that means you are able to see this relativity. That means you also know, you also have a viewpoint, you also have a bird view of the absolute reality. In that case, where is the absolute reality? How would we know the absolute reality? Why don't you tell us about that? This is what the critics are asking Jainas, that you are only talking about partial viewpoints, relative truths, that you are not talking about absolute truth. But you accepting relativity presupposes absolute. Then please tell us about how do we know the absolute truth. So this was the third point. Last three categories redundant. Many schools of Indian philosophy say that these three categories were not needed, and actually in Buddhism we would be seeing that Nagarjuna introduces fourth category, while usually Indian philosophies accept these three categories. Western philosophies accepts only two. Indian philosophies, most of them accept three. But Nagarjuna in Buddhism, Shunyavad Buddhism, Madhyamika Buddhism, accepts four ways of expressing a truth, or four logic, four-legged logic system. And Jainism accept seven ways of expressing truth. So many of the schools, Indian schools, are saying that these three are redundant, and these four should suffice. Then the fifth criticism comes, that no final synthesis. Syadvad gives many partial truths, but does not fully unify them into one absolute system. And this is related to the third point, where I said that they are asking Jainas that you are talking about relativity, that thing can be true from one perspective, while it cannot be true from some other perspective. That means you are able to get a bird view of the absolute reality. Then please tell us about the absolute. How do we know absolute? Do you think you could know absolute by following the principles and epistemology of Jainism? If yes, tell us, or else it's the Jainism theory would collapse. So let's see how do Jain monks answer to these allegations and criticisms. Jainas say that the Syat does not mean maybe or probably or doubtful. So there is no question of skepticism or self-contradiction, because it only says that from a particular standpoint or from particular context. So it cannot be self-contradictory to say that from a particular context the gold ring is permanent, and from a particular context the gold ring is permanent. It won't be self-contradictory, as some people would think that it apparently is. It isn't going to be the case, because we are not merging those two statements, and we are not putting them together. We are saying that they both are true, but from a different point of view, in different contexts. So there is no question of self-contradiction. Critics say that if all truths are partial, certainty becomes impossible. Here, third point in the five-pointer criticism: reality presupposes absolute. Then where is the absolute? So Jainas answer that absolute can be known in Jainism, but it can only be known to the omniscient being, the Kevalin, the one who has attained the Kaivalya. That person can know the absolute as well, but unless you reach that level, you can only see things from a particular point of view. So yes, there is an absolute truth, there is a way to know the absolute truth, but not everyone can know that. For that, you will have to achieve Kaivalya according to the paths which Jaina gives out. This criticism that I think this criticism is common to Shankaracharya as well as Nagarjuna. They both face this criticism that how can a thing be indescribable? Does that mean it is not rational? This is what the critics argue. Question. So the Jains say that Avyaktavya or indescribable does not mean irrational. It simply means that it is not fully capturable and that it is too complex to put to put out to be put out in the normal language we speak, or the uh, normal words or meanings which are comprehensible to common people. They cannot understand it. It is too complex. We cannot fully capture it. So we call it indescribable or avyaktavya. That does not mean it is irrational or illogical or non-existent. It does exist. It simply cannot be expressed in the normal terms, in normal words. That's it. So as we saw, the strength of Jainism is intellectual humility, tolerance, and accommodative thinking. Now, that was the epistemology. Now we come to ontology. Ontology means, according to this philosophy, the world is made up of what? The world constitutes of what? Real things. What does reality consist of? We came to know how do we get to know reality through the epistemology of this school. Now we will get to know what does reality really consist of. This is a tool, and this is the ingredient, or like say this is the what? This is the okay, this example won't fit in maybe, but this is simply a tool to know, and this is the truth. Like this is the microorganism which we need to know about, that what exists below this, what do you call that, what exists below this telescope or microscope. You want to research about it, you want to know about it. So this is the microorganism, suppose, then this is the microscope, this is the tool, and this is the object of inspection. Ontology. What the world consists of, what the reality consists of. What is the reality, and what reality consists of? Like what are the ingredients of reality which make the reality? And this is how do we know those ingredients. That is what epistemology is for, and ontology is for. How do we um, what are the ingredients? So what does the reality consist of? So now we will study about Jainism's view of ontology of this existence or universe. Like, universe consists of what all uh, ingredients. So they have this theory of substance, Dravya Guna Paryaya theory, that reality consists of three sub parts. One is substance or dravya, the second is quality or guna, and third is modes or paryaya. So dravya is soul, matter, time, space, while guna is the quality, like consciousness in soul or matter. So consciousness and matter, that can be said to be the essential qualities of guna. And consciousness in a soul is a quality, extension in a matter is its quality and a guna, and that also remains constant. And soul itself or matter itself is a substance, and that is a base reality. That also remains constant. So substance and its qualities, these two remain constant. And then there is a third sub aspect or sub part of reality, which is paryaya or modes or states, like different states of water. Water can be ice, water can be water, it is in liquid form. Water can be vapor, that is gaseous state. So these three states are states of the same substance. That means this substance is capable of going into different states or different modes. So those modes are called paryaya. It is temporary and it can keep on changing. So reality consists of three subparts: dravya, guna, and paryaya. Dravya, substance; guna, essential qualities; and paryaya is the states or modes of those substances. Like, for example, water is a dravya. Its essential quality is its qualities, like it is transparent and it's fluid and it can take shape of the container in which it is contained. So these are its qualities. The substance is H2O, and gaseous state or ice state, these are the modes of this substance. This substance, water, has different modes: ice mode, gaseous mode, and the liquid mode. So that is temporary, but its fundamental qualities and the substance itself are permanent. So Buddhists used to say that only change is real, that everything is changing and everything, reality is momentary, and it changes from one moment to another. While Vedantins say that only permanence is the ultimate reality, that Brahman is the ultimate reality, the permanent consciousness or the Sakshi, that is the only permanent reality. Rest all are just the modifications and an expression of Maya, the accidental power of Brahman. So these two views were contradictory. So Jainas take the middle ground and they say that according to their Anekantwad principle, reality is both permanent as well as uh, changing, momentary. Some aspects of it changes while some aspects of it remains permanent, like we saw in the gold ring example. So as they said that its ontology, the world consists of these three things. So further, Dravya has been divided into multiple parts. There are 6 Dravyas. Six Dravyas or 6 substances that exist permanently but undergo modifications or paryaya. The 6 Dravyas are here: Jiv, Pudgal, Dharma, Adharma, Akash, Kal. Jiv is the soul, Pudgal is the matter, Dharma is the motion, medium of motion, and Adharma is the medium of rest. And this Akash is the space which accommodates the jiva, the matter, the motion, the restness or staticness. That whole volume or box which contains all of these things is called Akasha or space, this space dimension. Then there is time as well. Time is non-spatial substance. It pervades all the space and it is present everywhere. Like jiva might not be present at every point of space. Matter might not be present at every point in space. There might be no motion of any matter or jiva. There might be no jiva or matter, so there can be no motion and there can be no rest. But time will still be there for that particular point in space. Time will still be running on its own pace, in its own way, irrespective of whether there is a jiva or matter or not. So time is non-spatial substance. So these 6 constitute dravyas or substances, and they have different qualities. And these two are 2 of the 3 aspects of reality, and they are permanent, but they have modifications, which means that their form or appearance might keep on changing. That is an impermanent part of reality. So yeah, jiva and dharma, adharma, akash, and pudgal or matter, and kala, these 6 constitute the dravya. Jiva is further divided into 2 parts: mukta jiva and badhya jiva, liberated soul or bounded soul. Badhya jiva is further divided into 2: immobile, sthavar or trasa, mobile, the one which is mobile or mobile, whatever. So here the 2 sensed, 3 sensed, 4 sensed, 5 sensed, These are the dravyas: 2 sense jiva, 3 sense jiva, 4 sense jiva, or 5 sense jiva, which is humans. There are different species which have different number of senses available to them. We have 5. So these are part of the mobile bounded jiva, which are mobile. That means they can move from one place in space to another. Then immobile, which is like stone or a brick. These are immobile jiva, and they are also badha. Mukta is the one who has attained kaivalya. That is basically the one who is a liberated human being. Only they can be called mukta jiva. And these 4 categories, dharma, pudgal, adharma, akash, they fall under non-soul or ajiva category of dravya, astike dravya. Pudgal is further divided into anu and sanghat. Sanghat means aggregates of atoms or a single atom. Then this is anastike, without spatial extension. It pervades all space, and it is called time. It is of 2 types: paramarthik kal and vyavaharik kal. The practical time, which we see in day-to-day life, or the real or ultimate time.